In the very near future, Firelands should be at least hitting the PTR. To get you ready for it, over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be looking at all of the tier 12 sets for every class. This is the very first one, and what better place to start than the Druid? As you would expect, the feral set applies to both cat and bear, so your 2 set makes your attacks with Mangle, Maul and Shred deal 10% additional damage as fire damage over 4 seconds. Now at first glance this might seem quite boring, but on the basis that these are literally your main rage or energy spending abilities, just a flat 10% extra damage on, for cats being Shred obviously, and then bears being Mangle and Maul, is actually pretty sick. But we already know that bear weaving is absolutely a thing and many people are doing it, and this could actually make bear weaving just even better. Because when you can't benefit from the 10% extra fire damage on Shred because you've got no energy, you're going to be able to quickly shift into bear and be able to benefit from it with Mangle and Maul. Just a nice little thought. Now, not only does it actually set the target on fire visually, you'll be able to see the debuff and how much damage it's doing over those 4 seconds, and of course it does stack. So if you're under Berserk at the time, each Shred you're going to do is just going to add that 10% portion to the dot, and it's going to gradually build up in potency. Overall, a really solid 2 set for both bear and cat. The 4 set is super interesting, and I would say more interesting for cat than it is for bear, but all of the tanks 4 set do a very, very similar thing, as you'll notice as we work our way through these videos. First of all, your finishing moves have a 20% chance per combo point to extend the duration of Berserk by 2 seconds. Now, this is absolutely amazing for cats because if you're already running the glyph, your Berserk lasts 25 seconds. It's very comfortable to get at least another 10 to 12 seconds out of each Berserk, and in most cases you may even get more. The only downside really is by the time you get to those 35, 36 seconds into Berserk, obviously you are pretty energy starved and you're literally just waiting for 20 energy to regen so you can press Shred, because obviously under Berserk you can't press Tiger's Fury, but it still feels great, and obviously as you're getting clear casting procs as well, it just keeps your energy going up so you can shred more. This also does make Ferocious Bite extremely valuable during Berserk, of course, because you want to extend it as far as possible. Now for bears it's not quite as exciting, because when you use Bark Skin, which is of course your 20% damage reduction on a 1-minute cooldown, after it expires you get 10% chance to dodge for 12 seconds. Now I say it's not exciting, but it is incredibly strong, because not only are you getting the 20% damage reduction to begin with, once you lose that, you're now going to get another small defensive being the dodge for 12 seconds. As I say, you'll see as we go through the classes that all of the tanks get something very similar where they use the defensive and then they get more of a defensive stat for another 12 seconds afterwards. Now, while I know that's meant to be for tanks specifically, it does actually apply in cat form as well. So as soon as your Bark Skin goes down, if for some reason you've got aggro on something, you'll get 10% extra dodge chance as well. Just a little bonus. On to the big chickens. Now, I personally really like the tier 12 balanced Druid set, and I think actually every class's tier 12 set is so much more interesting than tier 11 was. But your 2 set gives you a chance to summon a Burning Treant to assist you in battle for 15 seconds when you cast Wrath or Starfire. Now the proc chance on this is 20% and it's got a 45-second cooldown. Now this little guy actually hits pretty hard, and when it's coming out with all your cooldowns up and it's just extra damage on the pull, it's just pretty nice. It's a shame you can only have one. It definitely would have been nice to see a few of these out at a time, but still, as I say, it actually does significant damage. And the 4 set may seem boring to those that are not a balanced Druid, but while you're not in an Eclipse state, your Wrath generates 3 additional lunar energy and your Starfire generates 5 additional solar energy. Now this just helps getting from Eclipse state to Eclipse state that little bit quicker, because the main thing to remember is being outside of an Eclipse state feels pretty bad. The quicker you can get from one state to the other so you're doing extra damage is obviously what we all want. It may not change your rotation or seem particularly exciting, but you will feel the benefit of it in the long run. And then finally, the Resto Druid. When it comes to healing 2 sets, what they've all got in common is there's some form of mana return. The same way you get extra spirit from your set bonus in tier 11, now your 2 set for each class basically just gives you mana back in some way, shape or form. For Resto Druid, your periodic healing from Life Bloom has a 40% chance to restore 1% of your base mana each time it heals a target. Now this can potentially be quite huge mana return when you're in Tree of Life and putting Life Bloom on lots and lots of targets. But the fact that it's got a 40% chance each time it ticks, you can expect a few procs of this from every single Life Bloom. Now, I've got to be honest, I normally am pretty biased when it comes to Druid, and that's not going to change now. But the 4 set I absolutely love for Resto Druid. So your Swiftmend also heals an injured target within 15 yards for the same amount. So every time you press Swiftmend, you're literally getting double the value. And Swiftmend obviously is used quite a lot. You're going to be using it to get efflorescence down, and it does a significant amount of healing. The fact now that it's going to do double, and it's a smart heal, so it's always going to heal the second person on the lowest health, I just absolutely love it. But that's all the Druid set bonuses. I suppose lastly, having a look at what they actually look like. Personally, I think it's an okay looking set, but there is actually far better from some of the other classes, but you've always got Transmog. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to get ahead on MOP content, because I am actually starting on MOP Classic content next week, then consider joining the channel as a member. Be sure to like and subscribe. The reason I say consider joining the channel as a member is because to begin with, for the first couple of months, because it may seem like I'm starting MOP content incredibly early, but MOP is like a new game. It's literally not an expansion. There's so much that changes that I need to get started now, or I'm not going to have enough time to get through all the videos that I want to get through before it actually launches, because there's literally hundreds. So I'm going to put them out to members only first, with like 1 to 2 a week maximum, and then as we get closer to the time, I'll start releasing those publicly to everyone. So you don't have to become a member. You'll still get to see the content eventually, just not as soon as everybody else. But again, like and subscribe and all that jazz, and I'll see you on the next one, which will be Paladin.